Hello and welcome to Spring into Java. I am your host, Glabe, and in today's episode, we are slashing on into some Discord commands. We are going to be adding in a new command for our bookshelf, and our command is going to have some subcommand data. So we're going to give it some subcommands, we're going to give it some options, and we're going to allow our users to make edits to their bookshelf in a sort of multi-choice options. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, if that sounds like it's something that you're ready to learn, let's fill up that cup of coffee and dive on in. The first thing that we're going to look to do is head on over into our discord.java. Right beneath our add book command, we're going to add in a new slash command, and this one is going to be bookshelf. So commands.add commands.slash, this will be bookshelf. And the examine of this is going to be something like manage your shelves of books and novels. So we've added a new slash command. Let's go ahead and add some subcommand data to it. So the subcommands that we're going to add are going to be a new subcommand data, and this takes in a string and description just like a regular command does. The name, just like a regular command, has to be lowercase. The description can be a mix of upper and lower and special characters. However, the initial key or the name of the command has to be lowercase. So in our case, we're looking to make a command for creating bookshelves. So this is then going to create a new shelf. So that's all fine and dandy, but now we want to give our users the ability to name the shelf. So we're going to add in some new options to this command. This is going to have a new option data, and this option takes in 3 parameters. First one is what type of option is it? Is it a string, boolean, int, double? What are we dealing with? Channel, role, user, something mentionable. It wants to know what type of data this is going to be. And in our case, we're going to be looking to just take in the option type of a string. And this is going to be the name. And this is going to be the name of your bookshelf. All right. Now, we also want to provide another option. So we're going to add in a second option data here. This one is, again, going to be a string. But this is going to be a description. This is going to be something like a description. So this is going to maybe be helpful to describe the type of books that we're putting on our shelf. These options can take in a fourth parameter. The fourth parameter is required. This would be whether or not this specific variable or this specific option is required for this command to work. And the fifth option that it can take in is an autofill. That's a little bit more advanced than what I'm looking to get into with this course, but if you'd like, drop me a comment, let me know you want to know how to work with autofill, and I can certainly put together a video on how to work with autofill. But for the time being, we just want to be able to give our users the option to create a new bookshelf, give it a name, and give it a description. Next, after all that's been said and done, we're going to be looking to add another command to this, or another subcommand to our options. And this one's going to be to edit the bookshelves that we have. So we're going to go ahead and add our comma so Java doesn't freak out. Make a new subcommand data. And this one here is going to again be edit. And we're going to be passing in here just a rough description. So this is just going to allow the user to edit many aspects of your selected bookshelf. So now we're going to go ahead and add in some options here. So now the options that we want to add to this one are going to be, the first one's going to be a string. Well, technically it's going to be basically the same thing. We're going to be taking these two because we're going to basically be allowing our users to do a name change and redescribe. There we go. And other options that we want to be able to add in are the option to add a book as well as remove a book. So this new option data is going to be that of a Boolean this time around, because it's either true or false. We're either adding a book or not adding the book. And this one is simply going to be adding a book. Adding a book from your library. Remove book. Remove a book from a shelf. There we go. So that's going to be our 4 options. So we have 2 subcommands within this command. So the command itself is bookshelf. Then there is 2 commands beneath it, create and edit. Within the create, they can pass in the option to provide a name for the bookshelf as well as a rough description of the bookshelf. We have an edit option, which will allow our users to pass in the options of either changing the name, redescribing what the book is or the bookshelf is, adding a book, and removing a book. These are sort of like a multi-choice question on a test where the user doesn't have to enter them all, but they are all there. We will next make a handler that will allow us to separate whether we're handling a create or an edit event. And from there, we'll break that down so that we can then find out what information we are collecting. But first, we must go into our Discord listener, and we need to be listening for this command. So we call this one bookshelf. And in order for our bookshelf to work, we need to then go to a bookshelf class. We now go to our commands, into our implementations, and we're going to make a new bookshelf. This is going to need to implement our dis/, because that is how we are, of course, handling our / commands. So we're going to hop back over here just to wrap up this error. So now we are listening for our Discord command of bookshelf. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to take the bookshelf DTO from our library Spring Boot app, and we're going to stick it into the Discord side of things, because we are going to be needing to send that over an HTTP request at a later time. So just after that housekeeping, we are now going to dive on over to the bookshelf class. And in here, we are going to create a way of handling things. The first thing that we are going to be handling is our very first everyday sort of null checks. So we're going to first make sure that the user is not null. So we're going to get the member, and also then make sure that the object itself is not null. Because if it is null, then we want to simply break out of this. And apparently we are looking at the wrong member. Make sure we get the right member. And also make sure we do our if command correctly. All right, so next, beneath this, we need to find out what subcommands we have. So this one's going to be a string variable called subcommand name, and this is going to be equal to the event dot get subcommand name. And just because I like redundant checks, we'll make an isNull check for the subcommand, and if it happens to be null, then we're just going to return out of there. So next, we want to buy ourselves a little bit of time. So we're going to go into the event, and we are going to defer the reply. Now, generally when you make a Discord command or a / command, you have 3 to 5 seconds to reply to said command. For most cases, that's very reasonable, because your user is just interacting with the standalone application that is your Discord bot. But now, in the odd chance you need to make some localized API calls or make some localized microservices calls to some microservices or databases, you may need to give yourself a little bit of time. You can use the event.isSend typing. I believe it's is typing or send typing. And that will buy you up to 30 seconds. But now in the event that you need to make some database calls or maybe some time-wise expensive operations, you may need to even make some external API calls, and things that are out of your control, like HTTP latency, especially on an external call to a third-party API system, you may need to give yourself a little more time. So you can do what's called deferring the reply, which allows you to not only have up to 15 minutes to reply back to the message, but you also get the option to reply multiple times to the option. Because generally, if once you reply to an event, that's it. You can't re-reply to the same event because it's already been replied to. However, loophole to that would be to defer the reply, and then you can still simply send a message to the original hook, or you can edit the message on the original hook. So we'll get a little more into that right now, but I just wanted to clarify the difference between sending a reply, sending an is typing, or sending the defer. So if you send a message, it's just going to simply be a regular reply. If you put is typing, it's going to say that your bot is typing ... like as if somebody was typing a reply to you. And if you put in defer reply, then you'll see the message bot name is thinking ... which again buys you a little more time to do some time-heavy operations. So now let's dive on in here and let's create a switch. And this switch is going to be for the subcommand name. And here we're going to make a couple of checks and then execute a couple of commands. So we're going to make the first check for a case, and for a case of create. And if the subcommand option name is create, then we just simply want to fire off a create a shelf event. So create new bookshelf. And actually, before we do this, because we do need to take in the list of options that are going to be here, so we're going to actually map these out. So we're going to create a quick little map up here with a string and an option mapping. And this is going to be just called option. We'll call it the options mapping map. Why not? Equals a new hash map. So make sure all that's in. And because we're going to be passing in a couple of things here. So now I want to check the event. I want to get the options. And now for each of these options, I want to take an option and I want to map it out to our options mapping map. So we're going to do this. We're going to put, and we're going to stick the options name in there, as well as the option itself. And technically, I'm gonna actually take this, drop it here so that we clear that map every time. And in here, we're gonna pass in the event hook. Hook and the options mapping map. I'm gonna make a quick little break on here. I'm gonna call that well, I guess I don't need the break on there too. I don't need the break on there because I have it surrounded in and braces. This is going to be edit. EDI if I can type. If I can type, it's going to be edit bookshelf. Bookshelf. And again, it's going to take in basically the same idea. And if all else fails, I'm going to have a default of something went wrong. All right, so first and foremost, let's make this method here for something went wrong. What does that mean? Well, if something went wrong, then, well, we want to make a quick check if the object is null, the hook, then I want to send off an error to the console that something went sideways, and then just return. Otherwise, I want to take that hook and I want to send a message that something went sideways in the code. Please contact developer. And we'll send that message. So if something went wrong, we're just going to send out a message. Next, we want to be able to handle creating the bookshelf, as well as we want to be able to handle editing the bookshelf. There we go. So now, next we want to make a couple of quick if statements here just to handle the options that are being passed in, because so next here we are going to handle editing the bookshelf. So we'll make sure that the hook is not null. Because if the hook is null, we can't reply to it. So something went wrong, null, and return. Otherwise, we know that the hook is good. So we're now looking to handle. We're not looking to handle this in a switch statement or an if-else statement. We're just looking to handle this in the way of a few different if statements. So we're going to check to make sure that objects equal. And the objects that we want to make sure equal are going to be our key that we're going to be passing, as well as the object mapping dot get. And we're looking to get, this would be the option names. So for editing, if we're looking to get name change, we want to make sure that name change is equal to this mapping of name change, because if these two equal, then hook dot send message, the message that we're looking to send, and then we're just going to queue that. And for this one here, actually, we're also going to look to set this one to a formal message. Now, setting it to a formal, that just means that it's going to have that blue tint around the message and say this is only visible to the user. So it's kind of like a private message in a public channel, if you will. we go. So if this is true, then change name. And we're going to copy and paste that a couple of more times because we have one to change description. We have one to add new book or add a book and remove a book. And these are all copacetically following along with the names of here. So let's copy this. Add book. We're looking to add you here. Oh, screw off. And remove book. Cool. So, breaking things down. All right, so let's go ahead and have a look at what that looks like in play. We'll rerun our Discord bot. Once that gets up and running, we will then hop over to our Discord bot to make a little call. And there we go. Let's fire up Discord. We're going to make a call to Pokey's edit. You can see we have 4 options: name change, redescribe. This is where the description comes up on the right-hand side. Add book and remove book. So let's go with the name change of yada, yada, yada. A few more options. Redescribe. And let's say we're adding a book. Now, we should be able to just slap the enter and get a couple of messages replied back. You'll see there that Pokey's thinking. Something might have went wrong. Let's have a look and see. Looks like we have an error. So let's see what went on. Okay, so what's wrong here is that these are being got as string I should be getting these names, not these string values. So let's just make that minor adjustment. Go back to our Discord bot. Once that turns, there we go. Jump back over to our Discord bot and we'll resend that command that we just sent, and you'll see boom, 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 change name, change description, and add a book. So you'll see they're all replying to the original message, and then these are sending messages to the original message, Pokey.name change. All right, so that is how we would send the message from Discord. We are getting an option null here on 51. That's because this option does not exist. So we should make a prior check on these about making sure the object mapping itself is not null, and then make sure that it has one. But we'll straighten that out in a later video. Now, that would be how we would handle this so that these could come through in multiple options, like a multiple choice question. Next, there's the option to handle the bookshelf, which we will just take in that name and description option if they are available and tack them onto the DTO, and then we're going to make an HTTP request. That is going to come in their next video. So, thank you very much for your time today. I do hope that you've learned something about Discord/commands. If you did, please give us a like. It really helps in letting me know what is effective. If you happen to have any suggestions on a video that you'd like to see, please drop me a message. I enjoy reading comments. I enjoy knowing what you want to see. If you have an interest in game development, I'm going to be having another series when this one is wrapped up about the Midnight Coder, where we will be creating a Discord bot RPG game, talking about game design, practices, best practices, and my own personal experiences through my career of game development. So if you're interested in some programming and gaming, then you can also check out my next little series that I'm going to be doing. That being said, you can also hit that subscribe button to be notified when that starts, as well as when more videos like this come out. Thank you very much for your time. I've been your host, Glabe, and we'll see you in the next video.